Welcome. This is Kevin Pruitt with another episode of Rising Tide Startups podcast, and my guest today is Kirsi Ekberg from Finland. Kirsi, welcome to the show.
Thank
It's
you.
good to have you.
Kiitos.
It's good to have you. Did you just say welcome or thank you in Finnish?
I said thank you in Finnish.
Okay.
Kiitos. Yeah.
Well, it is great to have you, and I wanted to shout out to our listeners that I think you were the first person that responded when the podcast went live that you wanted to be a guest on the show. So we finally got our schedules to match. So
I know.
it's great that we can make this happen. So give us a little background. Who are you, and just whatever interesting thing you want to share with us.
Well, I've done many things in my life, and I will do many things in my life in the future. But to mention a few, well, I'm a mother, and also been doing arts and sports all my life, which also took me to a path of EdTech entrepreneur. So lately I've been arranging or coordinating an EdTech hackathon with Metka Media Center for Education and Finnish Ministry of Education.
Okay.
That's actually a really cool thing. I'm really looking forward to what this rising acknowledgement or acceptance for edtechs in the field is going to actually bring to the world. So yeah, that's pretty much it in a really short sentence.
Really short, but there you go. So right before we turned the camera on, we were talking about you had spent some time in the States. Why were you went to university here, or?
I did. Well, it was a college at the time, Franklin Pierce College, and I went there to play soccer for Franklin Pierce Ravens. And along that, I studied arts management.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You went there because it was cold. It reminded you of a Scandinavian country. You didn't want to play in Florida or Texas or somewhere a little warmer.
No, I never actually even thought of it. And then I was invited to play there, and my friend from the Finnish. Sorry, Vera is mixed up. But yeah, so I never thought of it, and I thought it was a great opportunity. And then my dad was like, "Oh, if you don't like it, come back home after 2 weeks." So I was like, "Okay, I might as well go," and ended up staying 2.5 years.
Great. Well, if
Didn't matter if it rained.
you have any video that you want to share, we can put it on the show notes of you playing soccer and in college in the U.S. So.
I know. I wish we don't. I actually think I have one photographer friend who was studying photography there at the time. He actually could have some, but there was very little of filming or even writing anything to internet at the time.
Yeah,
so
I understand.
Just have to believe me.
That's right. Well, we trust you for sure.
Yeah.
So give us kind of your 1 minute elevator pitch for your business. So what is the business that you're involved with?
Which one of them?
Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe the main one, the primary one.
Well, the one why I became an EdTech entrepreneur, it's called Vilike, and I wanted to, first of all, I wanted to digitalize the tools that we use for preschool education, and I wanted to bring in the gamification, which now is a really cool word and word. So I don't know, I wanted to harness the possibilities of technology to support the education.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I read quite a bit on the education system in Finland and how really outstanding it is. So, I mean, compared to, a lot of the rest of the world. So, what makes the Finnish education system so good and so quality?
I think I realized it actually when I was studying in States, that what makes it so awesome is that the academics is free, and I don't mean just money, and actually that is maybe why it is free, because then if you want to learn something, well, during the primary school you have stuff that you need to do, and also there it's really based on a lot of free time, a lot of free play and things like that. And but then in the university world, I think the fact that the money is not in between me and what I want to learn, it keeps academics free. I think that's also, and it's open for everyone.
Not just free in price, but also you're talking about free in time,
Yes,
like spending
yeah.
time during the school day to explore things that may be of your interests or something along those lines.
Yeah, and I think also maybe it's already started from the childhood that we are given the time to um, also not to do anything and to wonder and ask questions and then find the answers. And I think, yeah, maybe that would be, even though there are things, I also think that should be developed because if we don't stuff in the rocks,
There,
so
exactly.
yeah. So that's been the reason why I've been really happy now that the acknowledgement of technology as a tool for learning, it's spreading. So,
Now, is the
but
school day
yeah,
also shorter? It seems like I read somewhere where the school day may be shorter, like
I guess it depends on what school day and what age level you are. I don't actually know how the preschool and early learning in other countries go. Um, so, but I guess they are, for what I've heard. And I think in university that they're pretty much the same.
right.
But yeah, the school days might be.
Might be a little. It seemed like I was reading in an article that like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon or so. It seems like their school day was ending for because they had such a unique education system that it didn't require the same amount of time to get in all the curriculum they wanted to get in. So it was just it's an interesting kind of a sideline to chase. But I really want to talk about your business. What was the kind of the backstory? What inspired you to start this education tech business?
Well, I was when Vera was, I think she was 3 years ago. I decided to, since I'd been doing sports all my life, I decided to apply for this like a vocational study along work program where we became as physical exercise teachers for children, and we did. What do you call it? ABM inventory, which is a way to assess the motor and perceptual skills development of children.
Right.
And we did it, blah, 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 walk, jump, and collected the things on the paper, and I lost the papers. So
you thought I got to make these digital, so I don't run the risk of losing these.
Yeah, because I knew the information is, I had previous knowledge of computer science a little bit and then graphic designs, and I had to understand it. Okay, we can use it and that you can do some stuff with it. So I applied to IT school. And it was interesting first 2 years within the coders world as being a sports teacher and a mom with art background.
Wow.
And but yeah, it carried through. I managed to understand the whole thing, what it takes to develop a software, and actually did the first one as my thesis and got a little bit of funding from Invention Foundation. And I graduated with the software, and then I was told, okay, now you can start the company. So I was like, okay, cool, what does that mean? And kind of jumped into that world. Here we are. Yeah, now I know.
I think that in the entrepreneurial world, I think that's called a pivot. That's a major pivot. Seth Godin would be proud. That's right. So tell me, what would you say would be maybe your lowest point since you started your business? Your most difficult point?
Well, it's if not thinking of money, which has been a challenge all the time, but I think in this aiming towards where I want to go it was after 2 years, I had been arranging events where parents came in and they tested the software and collected the first set of data directly to that software. And I was getting ready to start doing the analysis or automate the analysis of the results. And it turned out that I had made an integer mistake in the background or the back end. And that meant that instead of saving the results as they were typed as, I don't know, 3.01 or 3.50.9, they had saved it all as a whole number.
Wow. That could make a difference on your statistical analysis.
Because it was also a point I had thought, okay, now I have the data, I can apply to my master's studies and I can use that data to develop it further and actually start providing answers to parents before the next data set. And that was really, I gave up, actually.
Wow.
I thought I have no more energy to start from the beginning. I had spent the first year we get supported by the government to live on, and then the second year I hardly stayed alive by with little money that I got grasped from somewhere. And I was like, wow. So I think that was the lowest point, actually, and that was the biggest failure in the whole past 4 years that I've been an entrepreneur.
So what the old quote reminds me of the quote that says, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." So
I agree.
So what would you say would be your highest point that you've had since you started your education tech business?
Well, I think every response from the parents when you're like, okay, here is this thing, and even though the usability, there is not much graphics, there's not even real good explanation still. We haven't done development with it for past 2 years. But I think that's been the best response. And then met Jenny, who was a game designer. So we kind of sat down and thought, okay, what can we do? We cannot develop a software. We have no money, blah, blah, blah. So I came up with the idea that I've been thinking, like, okay, how can you write a story around the content? So we managed to write a content and start trying a new way of like approaching the same thing. So I think best thing is the response every time that, okay, we would use it. We really, that's been kind of, even though I know it's been really hard to pitch to anyone, especially when the markets, it's all about like profit. So I think it's the people and the response that I know that I'm not wrong.
Right. So
Yeah.
Are your primary customers, are they school systems, or is it the government education system, or is it parents? Who would be your primary clients?
I think that, well, the users are the parents and the schools. But if I were the government, or if I were sitting in charge of some municipality, I would have this part of the whole thing. And when I was doing my thesis, my thinking was that I'm going to sell it to our government, because they could also simply develop it with reasonably little amount of money, thinking of the impact it can do in the long run. So I still would say, okay, government, but people around me say, oh, first do the schools, first do that, and blah, blah, blah. But I'm still pretty decisive it's the government.
Right. So they're talking about more like proving the concept on a small scale. What about governments outside of, or countries outside of Finland? Does this have application to other Scandinavian countries, other countries in Western Europe?
Anywhere. It's about children and growth. It doesn't matter. So children are children. Doesn't matter what language they speak, or do they speak any language.
Right.
Because the content is for the motor and perceptual skills. So it's very universal.
What about in a less developed area? Could you envision maybe like charities or NGOs using this in, say, the African subcontinent or other areas that are less developed educationally?
Well, it is there, just in technology-wise. it needs to be developed to a point where you can use it even though you don't have the internet, because that's I was actually, and I'm going to talk about it with that my Kenyan friends who has been now really supportive to me, like, Kirsi, you can't give up, you need to fight for education and blah blah blah. So with her and her enthusiasm, I sometimes I feel that I've given everything to it, that I have nothing more to give.
And there are a lot of private companies that are in the education space as well. That this may have an application for them as well.
It is, and I think now to see, like I said, the rise of the EdTechs
right
here and everywhere, and we actually have this. Well, in Northern Europe or Nordics, there's the Nordic EdTech Forum initiative, like a community of EdTech entrepreneurs in Nordic area. And the same thing is a Dutch school, where they have 60, 70 EdTechs come together in the community. And I think we've been starting to have discussions, and we are actually with this EdTech hackathon, we start bringing also EdTechs from another countries together.
Well, one of the reasons we did the interview this weekend was you've got a conference coming up next week. Is that?
After the Easter, the 5th and 7th. Yes.
What conference is that?
EdTech hackathon.
And that's where? That's in the Netherlands, or where is that?
Well, Helsinki, and we didn't have time to arrange like a co-hack same time in Netherlands. So yeah, that's the hackathon with Finnish Ministry of Education and a few publishers. Mary called me and asked me if I want to do this and help to coordinate. I was like, yes, there is hope.
You have no idea who may be there and what networking that will happen through these types of events. So yeah.
And I'm really happy it's there, and I've called everyone I know, and if Ken Robinson's hears this, join us, because we need the front runners. To push it up also for governments, that it's important, it's possible, and we need to do it, and we're ready for it.
So tell me, what would you say would be your one or two most difficult like pain points for starting your business right now? What are the biggest obstacles you have for moving to the next level?
Well, I would say the money, actually. No, I think it is money, because well, now I can support myself, but in order to develop this, you need to utilize people, and people need money to be able to concentrate on doing things. And like many times when I'm walking in the valley of death, I'm like, oh, then it does kill your productivity, it kills your creativity. Otherwise, I think everything's there, and I think money-wise also, maybe it's also for me to learn that, okay, you can at this point still sell an idea.
What about a non-financial goal or a non-financial obstacle that you know, from marketing, social media standpoint, what are some other obstacles you're facing?
Well, I think on that sense also to communicating it clearly, because that's also my challenge, because I have the whole thing like here. And to clear it out to simple steps so that you can kind of get it out and going. That's maybe a problem, that it's really difficult to stick with one thing when you're like already looking 4 years ahead. And
that's just the problem with an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur. we all face that.
Yeah, and then also now knowing that ideas and dreams are the overwhelming and really humbling thing, which gives more energy and power to think beyond, and also encourage everyone to do it. And
the thoughts that are going on in your head, I think, will certainly be inspirational just in general, but also specifically when you talk to people about your business. So as we head to the last section of our interview here, let's drill down a little bit and tell me, is there somebody that you follow online that really, really inspires you?
Ken Robinson.
Now tell our audience who Ken Robinson is.
He's a professor. I don't even know what the title, the learning, blah, blah, blah. And he's been talking about this, how today's schools kill creativity, and how dance is as important as math. And I really, that's something, it's true.
I think
And
he's is he not a sir in the
yes,
United Kingdom? So I think
yeah,
there's a TED talk that he's done. That is we'll put those in the show notes. There's a TED talk about this very thing
yes.
that actually I have seen that. So tell me, is there a life quote that you like to live by, that whether it's in Finnish or English, maybe you can translate
Um,
it?
be the change you wish to see in the world.
That sounds like Mahatma Gandhi. And if you could go back, say 4 years, what would be the one piece of advice you would give Kirsi to 4 years ago that you think would change your pathway, that would have helped you out and may help out other entrepreneurs?
Ah, that's a very, very interesting question. And I probably would have just said, don't give up.
That's something you need to tell yourself every day as well.
This Peter Green, he's he actually kept Vilike alive with his support, showing and saying that don't give up, and helping me to go forward when everything felt too heavy, and
Yeah.
felt like there is no hope. There is just bureaucracy, blah blah blah, and nobody understands, blah blah blah. So I think that saying that, but then it also is something. I'm so stubborn. I don't believe things if they're just said to me. I need to live them through and understand. But it's also learning to say that to yourself. It's don't give up.
That's a quality that you're going to need as you go through difficult times with your company. But it's good that you have that stubborn quality.
Yeah, and I think it's also for everything. I always thought, like when I started the company, I was like, okay, I learned to play soccer. I did really good with it. We achieved many things, and I got really good at it. And then I kind of thought, okay, and then I learned to paint. I learned to draw. I learned all that. And I thought, okay, I can learn this too. It's just gonna take some time. Nothing happens in a short period of time. So that's something once in a while when you live in a moment and you're like, now, you need to kind of
take a breath. Yeah, breathe and look forward.
Yeah, and also I think what I really want to do and keep doing is to pay forward the things. It's many things in entrepreneurial path are not made out of money. They are made out of by people, and when you can help people forward with your ideas or help somebody else go forward, that's when things actually go well forward.
Well, I'll tell you, Kirsi, I have really enjoyed our talk today. And is there anything else that you want to share with us and share with our audience how people can find you and how they can learn more about your company?
Well, I guess I've been using Instagram a lot lately. It's Kipatus.
We'll have all your contact information in our show notes with your company website and your Instagram and maybe
put the EdTech hack there too, because that's
certainly
really, Vilike is like a little company of mine, but I think EdTech hack aims for bigger, and that's I think. And what I'm hoping with my example is to show and encourage that if you have an idea, speak about it. I've met like really random people in the bus stop when I've been asking for directions instead of looking at Google. And with no offense to Google and the effectiveness of its software, but just talk to people. It's, I think, and one thing I want to share in the end is that IT and technology, it's a good servant, but a bad master. So do things for technology, but have technology to work for you, because we're still people and life is for us to live and enjoy.
Now that broke up just a little bit. You said it's a good servant, but a bad master.
Yes.
I thought that's what you said. That's great. We'll include that in the show notes as well. So listeners, it's now your turn. You've heard Kirsi share her story and share her business with us, and Now it's your turn to add feedback because, as you know, the underlying theme of our show is that all boats rise in a rising tide. Kirsi, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.